photos. Basically, as is obvious here, I missed my self-imposed deadline. I just couldn't make it. There's just too much shit going on. But I just wanted to let why it is taking so long and what I'm doing. Basically, as you can see here by the resolution of the video, I got a 21:9 aspect ratio monitor. And so I've actually been doing a lot of testing on this monitor and, really wide aspect ratio monitors, making sure that everything is perfect in every level, everywhere. And so I have pretty good coverage now. It's pretty fucking solid in terms of support for all these different aspect ratios and configurations. But there's some other system level stuff that I've been working on that's pretty interesting too. So basically, in the original Final Fight, every attack that you do, in a sense, only really has one result. And so by that I mean, if you do a punch, if you do a high punch, it makes the person you punch react with a high pain animation, and if you punch low, it makes them react with a low pain animation, and so on and so forth. But something though, let's see. Oh, that's good. I got a knife. I wanted that. So, but something that's interesting though that I did is I've added in some rudimentary material systems. So each thing you can do in the game, or rather like each object in the game, actually has unique materials associated with each animation. And so because Guy is holding a knife right now, it actually modifies all of his attacks so that it's now basically context sensitive. So basically I have a knife, right? So let me show you like what can happen here. So if I grab this guy and you see how I just need him, and that's fine. But now if I grab somebody with a knife, and see how it's actually a stab animation now, because the context is now he's holding the knife, and so that animation is actually a grab stab, and so all these things can have unique sound effects, and that's all possible now. I mean, and there's all kinds of shit going on too. Even like with Cody, for example. I mean, so Cody has some interesting, unique moves where he has charge attacks, and so those charge attacks, basically, if I can get something here. Oh yeah, this is good. I got what I needed here. So basically, if I have a pipe, right, and Cody's holding a pipe, if I do a charge attack like this, it's just like a normal blunt attack, and that's fine. But if Cody is holding a sword or like a sharp attack, see how it actually makes them bleed, because and basically that plays a different sound effect because it's aware of the context or the material of all these different animations, and because it's aware of all those things, I can actually have unique reactions, and so it's pretty cool. I mean, basically, like, you didn't have systems like this in the original Final Fight game. Essentially, each animation pretty much just had a single material, and there weren't variations and all of that. So I think it's a really nice addition to the game. I think it works really well. Let me show you some other neat stuff here, if I can do it without screwing it up. Yeah, so you can actually launch Molotov cocktails into other enemies by using the knockback attack on it. And I'm telling you, man, it's so fucking awesome because something. I mean, this is all just emergent shit that can happen when you're playing the game. So Hollywood, if he takes out a Molotov cocktail and throws it at you, if you actually time it right, you can knock back the Molotov cocktail in midair and launch it into him and make him blow up. It's so fucking good. It is basically the best thing ever made. I mean, I can say that without any conceit. It's pretty fucking hard to top, man. There's so much emergent gameplay that appears from all of these systems, that can interact with each other. And so I am really excited about it. I'm just trying to finish it up. There's a lot of like really interesting stuff too happening with different bosses and different mechanics that I've added in. There's really interesting shit. Let me see if I can bring it up here. If I can skip to the West Side stage really quickly here. I can't remember off the top of my head what number it is. It's 35. So if I jump to stage 35 here. So basically, I've hooked up pretty much all of the, like special events. And so I'm just skipping here because I wanted to show you the event that can happen, like when you're in the West Side stage. So basically, when the camera has this second door fully visible, you're basically, we're gonna have the ambush event, but it isn't like the original game where it's a canned cutscene. It's all dynamic, and depending on how you react, it actually changes the outcome. So let me see if I can illustrate this. So if I bring in a second player, I now have a second player. So look at this shit. See, he gets ambushed, but I can actually stop it. The people can actually protect each other, and so oh god, too late. But see though how like there's all this really interesting shit going on, and so basically you can actually skip this stage if you prevent yourself and your friends from getting ambushed. And so once again, it is pretty much the best thing ever made. I mean, essentially, there is no point in this game that you don't have full control. Unless you pause the game, you have control over every single thing that's happening. There's basically nothing canned, nothing that takes control away. Like everything is dependent on what you do, and I put in so much work into making sure that like all this stuff can happen without a hitch, because it's so much more complicated to give people control over everything than it is just to say, oh, we'll just stop everything and do our crappy little cutscene, take control away from the player. Let me see if I can bring up this to show you something else that's going on. So if I do, let's see, 39 is the elevator stage. And even though, it's a niche thing, I don't know how many people are even going to be able to appreciate this, because you're going to need, weird exotic monitor to even take advantage of it. But, so notice, 21:9 aspect ratio, we actually get, this more elaborate elevator stage, building, scaffolding built out. And, but I want you to notice something too. There's some interesting shit going on where, basically, if you have multiple ladders, if it's wide enough for that, you'll notice that Rolento can actually come down from different ladders depending on the position of the players at the time. And so, there's some smarts there, and he will actually do different things. Depending on what's going on there, and so so basically, like the way it works is, it basically it takes a snapshot of where all of the people are on the screen at once, all the human players, and it basically decides, if I get the middle, of the boundary of all the players. Like how can I get closest to the middle? So see, in this case, I was closest to the center, so he came down the center ladder. But he'll actually, like, if it just so happens to be that the center of all of the, up to 10 players are in the right region, he'll actually come down the right ladder. So basically, he can target where to come down and throw grenades at you. And you kind of need to do that when you have ultra wide stuff, because, if it's super wide and you're all the way to the right and he comes down all the way to the left and throws grenades, it's like it's so far away, even when you randomly roll the grenades over to the player, it takes too long and it doesn't really work. So Rolento really does have to like target depending on where the players are, like where he should come down. And like I said, all this shit is dynamic. Like if I go in there and I say, well, actually instead of 21:9 aspect ratio, I'm gonna play at 4:3 aspect ratio. It of course can handle all that shit, and it can say, well, yeah, I know what to do in this case because um, it's only 4:3 aspect ratio, so I only have one ladder and I don't have to worry about it. He's always going to come down from the one ladder. And so like that's what I'm saying. Like there's just so much work that's gone into all this stuff. I mean, basically all of the levels in the game are fully constructed dynamically. It isn't like you just say, oh, 100 pixels into the stage there's this, and 200 pixels into the stage there's that. Every fucking thing in the game, it's hilarious how many calculations there are when generating the stages in the game just to make all of these things appear correctly at all these different aspect ratios. It really is nuts. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. A lot of awesome, tweaking of the characters' abilities. I'm just, fine tuning everything, trying to get everything perfect. Um, I mean, the end is in sight. It is actually kind of getting there. Oh yeah, and I didn't even get into all the crazy bullshit that I went through to, handle Z sorting in a really elegant way because basically you can see it even if you play the original Final Fight in MAME. Um, Basically, even if you have like seven enemies on the screen at once, just because they did pretty simple, just integer math on the characters' positions, you could see cases of where it kind of flickers when characters move around and one moves behind the other or one moves in front of the other. But the thing is, when you play a 10-player game and you really do have like 120 plus objects on the screen at once, Z sorting becomes really critical because if you have all this shit, constantly changing, Z position, the depth of the sprites are changing, it has to be good. It has to be solid. And so I ended up implementing this really elaborate system where depending on the type of object, depending on whether it's a player or not, depending on all these different factors, I have a really stable sorting algorithm to determine, okay, if I have two objects and they both have the same Z index, how do I stably and reliably always make sure that one is sorted, before another, or one is sorted behind another in a consistent way, so that when I have, 100 enemies bum rushing you, they're not just constantly, behind or in front of and, kind of flickering. I mean, I'm sure everybody's seen like like shitty Z sorting effects. And so I spent a lot of time getting that like just right. And it's pretty nice because even when you have tons of objects on the screen now, it has really stable Z sorting. Like it doesn't really flicker, and so I'm proud of that. I'm happy with the way that worked out. So yeah, still plugging away, trying to do all the shit. So I'll probably have a new photo album out relatively soon. It's getting there.